It's hello from
Bob.
and it's hello from
Ramon.
Yes, we're here.
We're here again.
Yeah, sorry I keep looking in this camera, but we've got three. This is Bob's direction again. And we had the three cameras.
Oh, it's tragic. It's tragic. But we'll try and make things work. Now, what are we doing today?
Well, today, but what we're going to do, we're actually going to do P90 pickups, and we're going to look at loads of guitars, some beautiful old guitars with P90 pickups.
Love it.
So tell me about the P90 pickup. What do you know about it?
Well, I was trying to work out when it was invented, because it was invented a long time ago. They were on Gibsons certainly by 1949, which is when the ES175 you're playing was first brought to market. And you know, everyone who's watching this probably knows this already, but this is the guitar that's been on Gibson's catalogue continuously for the longest.
Really?
Yeah.
So this, what year is this particular guitar?
This is a 53 single pickup.
53 single pickup.
P90.
And can I just say, Bobby, it's beautiful. The kind of the Bakelite. Would it be Bakelite?
It could be.
It's just the plastic.
Quite heavy moulding, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a very beautiful. Just classic simplicity, but beautiful design.
Yeah.
And
wonderful.
so light. What a beautiful. But this it's got a beautiful jazz sound. You can see what all the jazz is used to, can't you? You know.
So there's a reason why Ramon is playing this guitar, because he can play some of that jazz stuff, whereas I own it but can't really do that kind of stuff for toffee.
But it's and also you can obviously wind it down. It's just got that really nice sort of beautiful sound, hasn't it?
And do some whiz on it.
Just got that sound, hasn't it? Just
So the P90 was basically Gibson's pickup.
Right.
During the 40s, certainly by late 40s, all the way through the 50s, it was their pickup. And the guitars we're going to show, this is from 53, this is from 56. This is a pretty mint Gibson ES225T. So the body shape from the front is exactly the same as the 175.
yeah.
But from the side, this is a thin line.
Wow. What year is this?
56.
So this is 57.
53.
53.
Yeah, that's early.
And this is 56. And
56.
So they've just introduced this new.
Right. So this bridge, there's only two guitars in Gibson's catalogue that have got a bridge that looks like this. One is the original Les Paul from 52, 53, and the other is this. But they're crucially different. On the Les Paul, the strings came underneath the bridge. And everyone hated it because they couldn't palm mute.
You couldn't play AC/DC in 1951.
You couldn't play AC/DC.
In 1951.
You couldn't play Al Di Meola. More to the point.
Yes.
Crucial.
Yeah.
Bloody crucial. In the
Now
50s,
that would be important.
in the 50s, they talked about little else apart from, the Cuban crisis, nuclear war, the space race, and bollocks. We can't play Al Di Meola on this new Les Paul
Or AC/DC.
or AC/DC.
Even though they weren't born, but
And no one had invented distortion and overdrive. And another story. Anyway.
Okay.
But suffice to say, this trapeze, it only lasted a year on the Les Paul because everybody hated it, and it was replaced by the wraparound. On this guitar, it survived this guitar's. I think this guitar came out about 50.
It's a thing of beauty, Bob. It's a thing of.
It's a thing of great beauty.
It's like you. It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, and age, and of great age. Yes. But this one, it's slightly different from the Les Paul. It's one the way it adjusts. Yeah. It's actually a floating bridge. It just sits on the top. It doesn't dug into the top. But the difference is this one works, whereas the Les Paul one didn't survive. This survived until they put a trapeze and a tunematic on it towards the very end of the life of this guitar, about 59.
Let's hear this guitar, Paul, because seeing is believing,
God,
but
you're gonna make me play it now?
hearing is deceiving. No.
It's interesting in terms of tones, so you've got the kind of mellowness coming out of that one. This one's a funny guitar because this guitar sounds like it's a guitar with two P90s and you're playing it on the middle position, but it's only got one pickup.
Yeah, so let's talk about the positions of these P90s. What were they thinking, Gibson?
Well, that's a jazz guitar.
Right.
So on the single pickup version, nobody minded putting the pickup at the neck end because that's the mellow end.
But it's not right at the neck, is it?
No, but I think that's probably as much to do with structure as anything else. I don't know. I don't know.
So how many frets has this got? It's got 15, 17,
19.
19 frets, so maybe if it had 21 it would be...
Maybe it would, but the pickups, this one, the pickup is very definitely in the middle because this is a guitar that was offered in two pickup or one pickup variant.
What do you prefer? Long and thin or short and fat? Was this the Crickets? You know, Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Did he play them?
The rhythm player had a 225.
Did he?
I think it was a two pickup and I think it was a Sunburst, but it's on the cover of the album, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's out of shape, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like that.
yeah. And so this guitar is quite a good segue because this was the precursor to the Gibson ES330. It's hollow, thin line. Okay, so this was the guitar of that time. It's also got the skinny frets. Both of these got the skinny frets of the period of the early 50s.
Yeah, it is kind of challenging. You really have to have a soft touch, you know. You know, you can't go hell for leather on this. You have to be quite sensitive.
Yeah,
you know,
but people, the aficionados of the thin frets, they like them, and also they like them on Martin acoustics as well because they say the intonation is really fantastic and crisp and spot on. I'm not sure I've got a good enough ear to tell that, but people do say that about them. Anyway,
but these pickups do sound absolutely beautiful, don't they? They sound really amazing on these particular guitars.
Well, I mean, they're characteristic. You know, Gibson was a jazz box manufacturer, it was a conservative company. And you know, like the humbuckers they produced later, the Gibson pickups were dark.
Yeah.
Whereas Fender pickups, single coils, were known for their sharp, cutting, searing brightness, particularly the Telecaster.
Yes.
You know, at the time, so you really had this thing going on in the 50s between these two competing companies, pitching really different sounds. I have to say, the conservative company was having chunks eaten out of it by the young mass market upstart.
On that note,
of Fender.
On that bombshell, Bob, let's go to the next.
What we've got here is two Gibson ES330s from 1960 and 1961. Now, They're
quite throaty pickups, aren't they?
They're lovely, lovely. These are my favourite guitars. This is my favourite guitar in my collection. They've got fantastic. The pickups have got plenty of body, but they've got plenty of cut and bite as well.
They really cut through, Bob. I think if you have you ever played one of these with a humbucker on them?
330.
With a humbucker in this position?
No.
Did they exist?
No. Well, I mean, probably someone's custom made one or bodged one, but
it'd be interesting to know.
They weren't made from original.
But I think this really works in this sort of application. Obviously, you're not really going to get a jazz tone. It's going to be harder to get a jazz tone out of this.
Yeah.
But if you just want a kind of a great guitar to cut through and to rock and roll and all that sort of stuff, this is brilliant guitars, aren't they?
Absolutely brilliant. Now, these were quite entry-level guitars. They're quite cheap because unlike the 335 and 345 and 355, these don't have a central block.
Right.
They don't have humbuckers. They don't have such expensive appointments, fancy inlays, any of that stuff. So they're different guitars. They also, except for the last 2 years of their life, the neck joins the body 2 frets further in, so they're slightly shorter.
Right.
As well.
Right.
But the bridge is moved back, so the scale length is the same. There's a fantastic Facebook page, Gibson ES330 Owners Facebook page. It's a really good page. It's a nice community run by a lovely gentleman from Puerto Rico, I think, called Raul Barrios.
Right.
And respect to you, Raul.
So it's not like the Strat and the Telly communities.
What the snarkiness of all that, or the Dumble communities or whatever. No, the 330 community is a really nice place to hang. There's a lot of controversy stirred up, mainly by me, about the single pickup models versus the double pickup models.
Yeah.
Right? So I have a very strong preference for these single pickup models. That's really good news for me because they're cheaper, because collectors and players alike don't like them.
Personally, I would prefer the 2 pickup model myself. I'll tell you why, Bob. Because I want to get here for the lead and I want to go on here for the rhythm.
And so I'm here to tell you, like I do my chums on the 330 forum, why I disagree.
Okay.
Because all the 330s I've played, they're all fantastic guitars. There's something about this chassis and the weight and the shape that is just gorgeous to play. And for noodling in front of the telly, best guitar ever made. But pick up here, too dark. Pick up here, too thin. Pick up here through a nice gainy amp like a clarinet. So for me, I'm very happy that everybody out there is valuing the double pickup models higher and leaving people like me to buy the single pickup models. Each to their own. You can have your taste, I'll have mine, but I think I'm quids in. Right. So as a result, I have very few duplicates of guitars in my collection. I don't really see the point. But I've got 3 of these 2, and something coming up next. I think they are fabulous.
And do you think that it would sound as good with a humbucker? Do you think that P90 is the right pickup for these kind of guitars, Bob?
I think tradition says yes.
Right.
Habit says yes. I've never tried it.
Right.
And the other thing is, if you put a humbucker into these, you'd have to carve them.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to try it unless you've already got a guitar that's been hacked about a bit. But somebody out there must have tried it. Maybe they can let us know.
But think about it. Think about this, Bob. Yeah. When this guitar was made and designed, they designed it for this pickup.
Yeah.
The humbucker came later.
Actually, the humbucker came about at the same time, because this guitar was first introduced. The Electric Spanish thin line series that succeeded the 225 we've just had on, that appeared in '58.
But it was still kind of designed with they had in mind that they wanted a P90 on this.
No, I mean the low level model had the P90, but the humbucker, of course, was the new shiny pickup that they put on the Les Pauls and all the big jazz boxes. And so on the upper end, Electric Spanish, 335, 345, 355, they went straight out with humbuckers. There was no P90s.
Gotcha.
Although, funnily enough, many years later, in the 90s, I think, Gibson produced a 335 with 2 P90s. And a mate of mine had one, and it was a cracking guitar.
Right.
Different, interesting, bit weird. So to your question, if a 335 with P90s sounds quite interesting, what would a 330 with a humbucker sound like? Pretty good, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe someone out there's got one that they've converted.
But this program's about P90s. I love P90 pickups, and I particularly like P90 pickups in 2 kinds of guitar. This guitar and in a Les Paul Junior. They're my particular favourites. They both...
The way they react with overdrive. We'll get to that later.
Fantastic.
But suffice to say, these they really do... Very touch sensitive, so you can play very. Or else you can.
We've now got two guitars, a famous one and a weird one. You've got a 1954 Gibson Les Paul GOLDTOP, which of course, since its inception in 1952 until 1957, it carried a pair of what are known as soap bars. Much controversy on the internet about whether soap bars and dog ears, which is what this is carrying, are the same pickup. Some people say yes, some people say no, some people say it's all in the bass plate. Some people say it doesn't matter about the bass plate, and other people then say, what about on a bloody Telecaster? It does. That guitar, that's a typical kind of 54. It's got quite a bark to it.
Okay. Yeah, it has its.
It's quite a barky guitar, and that guitar really sweetens up when you play it through quite loud. It really sweetens up a treat.
Yeah, and it's got a really nice neck, sort of, we're playing a Lazy J. Jesse, forgive me about t-shirts. Sorry. I love you, Jesse. Come on, man. Talk to me, man. Don't ignore me. But Lazy J, his amps are great, you know. So you know, like when Clapton was hearing. He was hearing one of these.
He was hearing one of those.
He was hearing these going through, you know, and that I always loved Freddie King when he's, you know, he's playing back here. You know, there's no tone like that, and I think that when Freddie King went to the 355, he lost that tone, or the 345, can't remember, but he lost that killer.
Righto.
I think he got the tone from this guitar with these P90s.
Certainly, all his famous work was done on the P90s. Now this you've heard me ranting off about single pickups and double pickups. This guitar, one of the things you have to watch out for with these guitars is the bridge pickup is often quite sharp, and you have to really be careful about the pickup heights in order to balance the outputs of the two pickups, because otherwise the neck can be overwhelming. The neck pickup is gorgeous in these guitars.
Because can you raise and lower these pickups?
Not easily. In that case, I have to tell you, there's a piece of 1950s, there's a very thin sliver of 1950s mahogany that I've introduced underneath the neck, the bridge pickup, to raise it.
Right,
with the nearest thing I could get to the right material, whereas the neck pickup is screwed as far in tight as I can. But that's all you can do. There isn't a lot of adjustment on these things, apart from the pole pieces, which is of limited value.
Right, okay. Because these pole pieces, so you're really bringing this bridge pickup up close.
As much as you can.
Do you know the values of these?
No. It's not as important as it is on humbuckers.
Right.
The impedance, at least the importance that it's given, I'm saying. It's all important. But
how heavy is this guitar?
That's quite a heavy guitar. It's a Les Paul. That's probably 8.75 pounds. It's a chunky guitar.
Right.
Not the lightest, but it's in great shape, and it plays great.
But
quite a thick neck.
But the sound is really.
Yeah.
You've got this, you know, and in the middle, I guess, you know, you.
Yeah. Absolutely. It really sounds very 50s. Apart from that tone and a half bend,
Yeah.
which would have been illegal in the days when they were probably running, what, 14s as top strings?
That's
And
true.
I think
yeah.
you would have broken both legs, let alone
Yeah.
your fingers, if you tried to do a
absolutely,
step and a half bend.
No,
That was a very
brilliant.
50s sound. So that's those pickups. Now this is a guitar from, let's see, 8 years later, 1962.
And again, in the middle.
In the middle again. So back to my thing about I prefer the pickups in this position, and they're cheaper. What's not to like? But this guitar is very unusual. So it's not a Gibson, it's an Epiphone. It's basically one of the very, very first Epiphone casinos. It's very early, it hasn't got a strap button on the bottom at all, which makes it a bit of a nuisance because I'd love to play this out live.
You tie it around the neck.
Well, you tie it around the neck, but if you've ever played a guitar with tied around the neck, it feels really weird to play. The guitar doesn't move with your hand.
You know, it's funny because a lot of older blues players used to do that, and George Benson, I think you see him with his guilds. A lot of the older guys used to do that, didn't they?
Well, I mean, needs must. You know,
T-Bone Walker.
yeah,
T-Bone
but needs must. So, I mean, I've never wanted to drill a hole in this guitar to put a strap button in, which means it's a sit-down guitar. Now, to all intents and purposes, it's a 330, but the pickguard's different, the tailpiece is different, the headstock is different, and the headstock also sports the old Epiphone metal plate bikini logo. Now, that was phased out before this guitar was put into Gibson's first catalogue, Epiphone's catalogue, sorry, they were made by Gibson by then, right, in 1962. In April 62, it had, the casinos are advertised with the mother of pearl headstock in there. So this is very, very rare. Very rare.
You look really content with this guitar.
Strangely, to play acoustically, it's exactly like the other two, so it's absolutely my favourite. Pickup wise, it's slightly weaker.
Right.
Just the luck of the draw. Slightly weaker. I'm not having a go at Epiphones versus Gibsons, not at all. Everything else about it, it's an Epiphone, it's a Gibson, they were made on the same production.
So it's really a Gibson, really, effectively. It's a
yeah, with a few accoutrements.
Yeah.
But again, it's a great noodling guitar.
company, right?
Absolutely. I mean, in the 50s, the really top pros probably played Epiphones rather than Gibsons.
Yeah, I mean, the Epiphone Emperor is the best one of the best jazz guitars ever made.
Absolutely. So no, Gibson bought a failing but brilliant company. But what they then did is the commercial genius was to sit down and say, we can actually make this work for us as a business, as well as diversifying a range of fantastic guitars. We can make it work as a business because we can now double the number of dealerships, exclusive dealerships, that we can promise in any territory. That's how it works.
I heard when they did buy it, all the Epiphone workers went over to Guild.
That's because Epiphone were based in New York and Gibson were based in Chicago.
So they didn't want to go to Chicago.
They didn't want to move.
No. So they all went to Guild.
So most of them went over to Guild, which is why the craftsmanship on the Guild guitars in those days was so bloody fantastic, because it was all the Epiphone workers, right? And the Gibson guys kind of took over the making of Epiphones, but the Gibson guys were doing a fantastic Gibson job on Epiphones, which means this is a bloody good Gibson.
It's a Gibson guitar with a different name on it.
And if you have had the chance to play from the 60s, an Epiphone, it's a Sheraton, I think, which is a 335, but with two mini humbuckers, right? I think it's an Epiphone Sheraton from the 60s. So you've got this basic chassis shape and feel, with the mini humbuckers on the. But back to what you were saying about humbuckers on a body like this, mini humbuckers on a semi-acoustic with a centre block. Wonderful guitars. We've got two more guitars with P90s. One of them is a Gibson. It's a Gibson Les Paul Junior from 1955. Single dog ear pickup. Nothing messed around on this guitar. Completely straight. It's in good condition. Skinny frets. Quite a big neck. Not the easiest guitar in the world to play. It's a bit demanding.
Right.
But my God, it rewards you. The sound of this guitar is heavenly, just heavenly. It's even at low volume, you can hear you. It's, you know, when this is put through some drive, it's just Leslie West in a box. It's absolutely fantastic sounding guitar. Now, in your hands is a Guild M75 Aristocrat from 58. I think it's called the Chesterfield logo. Testament to the manufacture of Guilds. This is a very, very well made guitar, but this is a solid guitar that's completely hollow. It's hollow and it's sort of Les Paul
Extremely
shaped.
light.
Very, very light. It's got a wonderful neck. Now this guitar is, whereas the guitar I'm holding is in fantastic pristine condition, this guitar has seen some war. I think it may well have had a headstock break. It's certainly had a neck junction crisis. It's had the D of the Guild logo filled in with crushed mother of cack. So as a collector, this is a bit of a mongrel, whereas this is a thoroughbred. But what's so interesting about this guitar, okay, it's hollow and all the rest of it, and all the controls are in the wrong place and stuff like that, a la Guild. These pickups are not P90s. They're like P90s, but they're made by a company called France in New York.
Yeah.
And they are a different take on P90s, and they sound wonderful. I mean, play a few things.
Which is a nod for the...
Now that's the catch. I've forgotten which way around. GOLDTOP. It's quite snarky on the bridge pickup, but a really nice sounding guitar. Now Larry Carlton played one of these sometimes.
Did he really?
Yeah, he played one of these in the early days. It was like one of his blues birds.
Right.
And the nickname of this guitar is a blues bird, and it is great if you spend a bit of time with it.
Yeah.
Particularly through a kind of overdrive special type amp, you kind of craft the tone a bit. It's not a high drive, high gain beast, but it's really tasty tone.
Yeah, again, these pickups are very clear and very, you know, you can hear both the octave, the lower, they're very, you know, every single, just every note is quite fluty and, you know, really great pickups.
And for the geeks out there, one thing about this guitar is if you do have one of these, never damage the machine heads, never harm them, because you'll be very, very lucky to find them on the set. The reason for it is very simple. These machine heads were put on no other guitar.
Really?
No, they're Clusons, gold Clusons, with kind of yellowed pearl tips, and I'm sure you could synthesize them, you could fabricate them.
Let's move to our last pair of guitars. Okay, so Bob, everybody knows these guitars, don't they? These are kind of like, well, they were basically a student's guitar, weren't they, when they first came out?
Yeah, kind of entry level. You know, much lower price than the fancy, you know, Les Paul Standard, Les Paul Custom, 335s and stuff like that. These
and then bands like Squeeze and you know, the new wave punk sort of, you know, they're synonymous with that kind of era, as well as.
And of course, that guitar you're holding, it's the famous Johnny Thunders guitar, isn't it?
Yeah.
The TV Junior. But both these guitars are from 1960. But what interesting, they're very close to each other in terms of age. They're quite different. Obviously, this is a special, so it's got two P90s. That's a junior. It's just got one dog ear, so two soap bars, one dog ear. But this guitar is actually by the serial number. This guitar is earlier than that guitar, but that guitar has got a great big fat 1959 neck, big neck. This one is quite a skinny 60-61 neck.
So this is routed and this one's not. Okay.
Yeah, it's just that that's affixed via the dog ears on the end, whereas these are affixed via two screws through the pickup. But Hence my comment earlier about whether the guts are the same or not. I believe the guts to be largely the same.
Yeah.
But having said that, a strange thing, that guitar with the single pickup is typically worth more than this guitar with 2 pickups.
Right.
Okay? There's something, the romance of the junior.
Yeah.
Juniors tend to perform on the collectible market better than specials.
I mean, bands, Bob, like Green Day. Those sort of bands, it's just classic for rock and roll, and it's just one pickup. It's just simplicity, isn't it?
They got a great swagger about them, those guitars. They really, really have. I mean, they, as you say, they were in the 70s. They were, punk musicians that didn't have any money. They were finding these things in pawn shops. Yeah. For like £50 or $50.
Yeah, I heard. Was it you that was telling me there was some guy on tour in America, and he used to buy tens of them and bring them back into the UK.
I mean, the famous one was Mick Rouse and Ian Hunter when they toured with Not the Hoople originally. They used to just literally hoover up all the pawn shops and all these guitars, and then salt them back. Hopefully, not pay too much tax on them, and bring them back here. And they could maybe, they'd buy a guitar over there for $50, bring it back here and sell it for maybe a couple of £100.
Yeah. Nice little business.
Nice little side earner.
Obviously, Bunsen burner, nice little earner.
Keeping all the best ones for themselves. Like any good dealer does. You've got 2 juniors, two TV models, a special and a junior here with the P90s. That guitar is a real hooligan guitar. It's a really shouty guitar.
Yeah. I mean, you just wanna. Do you know what I mean?
You're a hooligan. Hooligan. But no, you're right. You absolutely do. It's got real swagger to it. But also, it's great if you want to actually play lead guitar on it, and even quite, subtle lead guitar. You can. It's fine. This guitar, like the GOLDTOP, it's a strange guitar. It's not particularly fun to play at low volumes,
isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not very interesting.
It seems a bit like you can imagine it's a studious guitar, but a little bit more if you wanted to play maybe jazz or something a bit more.
Maybe.
And this was more for chords and. House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah, I guess. But interestingly,
really
when you take this out and you start to play it at higher volumes, again, it really sweetens up and it sounds grand.
Because Larry Carlton used this guitar a lot.
Yes.
And he played, the song... Okay.
There you are. Anyway.
So, yeah.
Just flip them over to see the backs.
So these were called the TV models because they were meant to be seen on TV, weren't they?
They were.
The colour.
Well, there's 2 stories. One, they was visible on TV, because TV was black and white in those days. And the other story is actually it was just to do with the finish that most televisions were retailed at in America at the time, which was called lined mahogany. But either way, they came out this yellow colour, which has just got better and better with age, and if you've got them in good condition, they really go like a good set of teeth. These have lasted me a few decades. Go like nice yellow teeth, magic.
Cup of tea, English tea.
Can't beat it. A cup of English tea. So that's a couple of them.
Yeah. And that's it, really.
And that's it. We have got yet more guitars in here with P90s, but I think we've done you to death.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, that was a brief worshipful tour through the P90 pickup on various guitars. I absolutely love the P90 pickup. I mean, in truth, I get on with the P90 a bit better than I do with the humbucker and the PAF. I get on better with the P90 than I do with Strat pickups because I'm not a very powerful player, and I think a Strat is a physical instrument.
Question,
but still, I think there's a very special place in my heart though for the bridge pickup on a very, very old telly. That's a special thing.
One question, Bob. Yeah. Do you like this hat?
I do actually. Although it's a bit it's a bit like you've come from the pit.
Well, yeah, okay.
It's your kind of man of the people look.
And the real question I was going to ask is, Diamonds, Dynasonics versus P90s. Is there a difference?
A lot of difference.
Because you know that in the first Les Paul ever made by Les Paul, he actually had in the neck a diamond with the housing of a P90. Because he loved that diamond pickup. And
another bloke who really loved the diamond pickup was Jan Ackerman. If you remember, when he was in Focus, he used to play a black Les Paul Custom, 2 pickup custom, And if you look carefully at some of the old photographs, you realise that the neck pickup, it's not a humbucker, it's not a P90, it's a diamond. And if you remember that his lead sound was really great, kind of balls out Gibson lead, but his rhythm sound had more gleam and glint. It had the diamond tone. A clever guy.
Yeah.
Clever guy.
I'm going to have to check that out, but thank you for that, Bob.
There you are.
Very kind of you.
There you are. And talking of sleepers, if you can find one, a Framus Jan Ackerman signature model. Interesting guitar.
Framus, wow. Who'd have thought? That's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. We're going to be back soon. We're actually really quite tired, aren't we? Because Bob's spent the whole morning setting up 3 cameras, lights, and he's got to do the editing till 2 in the morning to make sure that you guys get this video real quick. So thanks a lot, Bob, for doing this.
The good news is he did say 2 in the morning, and he's probably right, but he didn't say 2 which morning. So I can still slip the news somehow. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and have a great time until we see you again.
God bless.
From my partner here.
And from him.
Bye.
Goodbye.